We got a statue of King Louis XVI, who was the King of France. I guess Louisville is named after King Louis. I mean, wasn't it King Louis? Didn't we chop this motherfucker's head off in the French Revolution? Didn't we, the people, when the French people stood up? Wasn't it this motherfucker? Was it his head that got chopped off? Just look the way this guy's dressed. He don't dress like anybody I know. Well, look how he's holding his hand. Staying here at Fisherville, tent city here in Louisville, right next to the river, underneath the interstate, a little ways out of town. Can't see too much, but there's probably about 20 to 30 different tent setups, or tarps, going throughout the spot here. Next to the interstate. So there are many Fishervilles here in Louisville, at least 3 of them concretely that I know about, and possibly a lot more. So yeah, that was great that Bill Paxton, Paducah's mayor, Bill Paxton, this December 2011, the blood-sucking Grinch that he is, gave the tent city in Paducah 24 hours to leave. And only Commissioner Gerald Watkins said that 24 hours is not enough time to comply with the demand. But the thing is, Mayor Bill Paxton, he knows that it's not enough time, but he doesn't give a fuck. Bill Paxton has got a fat turkey dinner waiting for his fat self to engorge on at home. He doesn't give a shit. Get the fuck out of my town, he says. That's what he does with poverty. He just abolishes the poor people, which is what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to wipe us out. One homeless I was talking to said that if the middle class looks down on the poor or the homeless, that just wait, with the trends with the economy in America, you're going to be right there in the same tent cities shortly. The Great Recession.
Cities across this country have passed ordinances to prevent the public from having to see the homeless.
Standing here where a dream used to live, where Occupy Louisville had started, Jefferson Square, and as you can see, since it was in front of the City Hall building, so it was confronting truth to power on the day-to-day, on the reg. That's why the powers that be kept pushing it back. They kept pushing Occupy Louisville back. First they had to fight to get this park, and then once they got the park, they pushed them to 5th and Muhammad Ali, and now they're going to just try to push them out for good. So we don't have a right to occupy public lands, evidently. I guess it'll be figured out in the court systems, but that's what the police and the mayor is basically saying. I'm standing here with James and Johnny. I was kind of frustrated myself with the prison system, and you were saying that usually you're here just for drinking. So you're just drinking and yelling and shit, and usually just a day.
Just a daytime service.
And
they locked me up and held me for 12 days. That's a child shit against justice. They're trying to get that money. They're locking people up for anything. They're trying to get enough money to get that bridge built.
Right, I agree.
And the lack of rights, the abject lack of rights, and the ability to exercise those rights when you're homeless. Let me put it this way. If the money that was currently invested in charity was invested in the form of taxation to provide the city with a way of taking properties off of the speculative market, placing them under a different taxation system which taxes according to their site location, as opposed to the property value, okay? And come up with a way of generating the revenues that the city needs from that kind of taxation system, effectively removing those properties from the market. Those properties could then be used to house the homeless. Courses could be set up for vocational training to teach people how to maintain and to take care of the buildings. And sweat equity systems could be put into place to encourage people to participate in taking care of the places where they live so that it does become theirs.
That's good stuff, man. How come, when you gonna run for mayor so you can actually...
1020 West Main, this building here, it's got B-I-E-S-E, the Beast Building, that's what we'll call it. It used to be a slave auction house, but it looks to be abandoned, and could be put to good use. So, one example of having a useless building when people are sleeping outdoors. And this building's just standing here. Yeah, so there's plenty of wealth in the United States. Carlos Slim's got $74 billion in the bank. Christy Walton, the daughter-in-law of Sam Walton's got $26.5 billion in the bank. The GDP for the United States is $14.6 trillion. The Federal Reserve printed up $8 trillion for Wall Street and the big banks, $7.7 trillion for big banks of America such as AIG, Bank of America, and these are the exact same criminals who caused the Great Recession. So the ones who actually broke the law and caused the recession are the ones that we're giving all the money to. So that would be like taking John Dillinger. Since John Dillinger robbed the bank, that would be like him robbing the bank, and then the bank turned around and paying him more money in order to fix the crime problem, the bank robbing problem in America. It doesn't make any sense.
What does Occupy provide that you couldn't get from anywhere else in the city of Louisville?
I mean, on one level, you know, the occupation encampment is not a permanent solution for one being in a state of homelessness.
Right.
Okay. What we do provide here is, number one, for a chance for people to participate in something, to come together, to work together as a group, to find their own voice.
So a community,
yes,
some democratic consensus to actually be part of a democracy.
And that's what, I mean, in addition to the fact that, you know, we can pool resources, we share certain things communally here, which makes it possible for people to have things which they otherwise would not be able to have if they were alone.
So America's policy is to give $8 trillion to the big banks, and meanwhile here in Kentucky, our senators Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, they're supportive of cutting unemployment benefits out completely, cutting food stamps. This is at a time when America's got high unemployment, higher living costs, and foreclosures. And it's almost as if the plutocracy wants the rest of us to starve to death. What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin.
Okay, remember Kevin, remember artist, because I love to draw.
Kevin the artist. This is where Kevin the artist lives, here on the river, Louisville. The United States Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that Louisville's official unemployment rate is 9.7%, which is high. 5% is what's tolerated in my macroeconomics class at U of L. That's what it taught me. And that's higher than Kentucky's and America's. So Louisville's got a higher unemployment than Kentucky and the national average in America. Also, the official unemployment rate doesn't reflect the true unemployment numbers, since the official unemployment rate doesn't factor in underemployed and part-time workers, college students, and discouraged workers. So those people who have given up looking for jobs and haven't filed for their benefits aren't counted as unemployed. That's a large body of people. I've never filed for unemployment until 2 years ago, in between my jobs, even though there were times when I could have used unemployment. So I would have been an unemployed person who wasn't counted in the official unemployment statistic.
West Side is on Rook and Jefferson on the corner. They do it all the time. They come out every other evening.
Are they the main ones? Because I've heard a lot of people talk about Wayside.
Wayside is like the biggest mission. They get the most money in Louisville. But Wayside is probably the most crookedest one too.
So knowing all this, that means the unemployment rate is much higher. December 2011 Gallup poll says that America's unemployment level is over 18%, which is only 7% away from the Great Depression levels. So 18% is the unemployment rate for America, and since Louisville is lower than America, you can assume that it's higher. Great Depression was 25%. Right now America is experiencing an 18% unemployment level rate. So we're creeping up there. We're almost to the Great Recession, I guess. Not a Great Depression, just a Great Recession. The Great Recession.
Safer to be here during the winter than it is to be sleeping under a viaduct.
Would you tell me all the places that help donate food?
Agreed. In fact, I interviewed a 10th Street. There's a tent city, 10th Street, and this is their home. I mean, this is a demonstration or whatever, but this is like what homeless people are doing. They're not finding refuge in the shelters. They're not finding the beds, and they're not finding the food. So they're just saying.
Well, many of the people here have had problems with the various shelters. You know, the level of violence that is par for the course for being homeless in this culture extends all the way over to the shelters.
I guess
people are subjected to all sorts of abuses.
Right. I would
and loss of property.
The foreclosure rates in Louisville are also increasing. This is attributed to a summer slowdown in economic recovery and because of the expiration of the home buyer's tax credit, according to a Wave 3 report. Over 800 homes are being foreclosed every month in Louisville. The foreclosure rate for Louisville is nearly 3%. The 2010 U.S. Census, when they doubled the poverty rate to reflect the more accurate numbers, reported that 97.3 million Americans are poor. So that means 1 out of 2 Americans are poor. 1 out of 2. 50% of Americans are poor.
Careful of that. Got the healing place. It was designed just for recovery people. They kind of got antsy at one time. They don't send nobody out, but you can go there. It's on 9th and Market. They don't send no people out. You can go there on certain days, like on the weekends. You can go there and you can get stuff from them. Then you got Dare to Care, the YMCA on Brook, on First and Liberty. They come out every other 2 weeks or so. They bring like hygiene stuff and food, canned food and vegetables and stuff like that. But they only come like every so often when they got extra food. They come. As far as donation-wise, most of the places you have to go to, they got like on Winslow and Liberty, there's Lost Sheep. It's every Thursday night from 7 to 9. You can go there, you sit down, you get some gospel in you if you can sit and take the gospel.
Yeah.
But they're all beautiful people. They'll help you in any way they can if they got it.
Louisville has several census tracts which reflect a deeper, more profound, more institutionalized poverty. Census tract number 35 has got an 84% poverty rate. Census tract number 30 has an 81% poverty rate. Census tract number 43.02 has got a 63% poverty rate. Census tract number 18 has got a 56% poverty rate. And then you have all of these are in the 50% poverty rates. You got census tract 50, you got census tract 10, census tract 23, census tract 62, and census tract 43.01.
Then you got a place that's called Trinity Tabernacle Fire Church. It's in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. They come up here every Friday, like faithful work. Most of them school bus drivers, but they show up every Friday. They bring cheeseburgers, clothes. They bring people from all over the place. I've had people up there from Hazard County. Right over there used to be a dome. It used to be 60 foot long by 40 foot wide by 30 foot high.
Right.
It was the first dome in Louisville before they started building that one down there. But we had people coming to see it because we had a 55-gallon drum inside of it with a thing on it. We had tents as big as that inside of it, 4 of them. Had carpeting all over the floor. Had a stove that you can cook on.
Yeah.
Had food, had everything, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it stays beautiful. Except for the police have one thing, when they run them off on that end of town, they're all going to come to this end of town. Police don't never mess with us. Every now and then they might come in and somebody's missing. They'll come in once, ID everybody. After that, they know where you are anyway, and they always know where we are because the police helicopter flies constantly.
The Great Recession.